As we said, an unfortunate confluence of criminal events is taking place around Southie, including the ongoing trial of mobster James Whitey Bulger. Today, Bulger associate Stephen the Rifleman Flemmi wound up his 6th day in court. Adam Royley has an update.
Emily, today we saw the end of testimony from Stephen Flemmi, a.k.a. the Rifleman, Whitey Bulger's former partner and now a key witness for the government. And I have to say, after several days on the stand, I'm not really sure if Flemmi helped or hurt the government's case. For one thing, today, as he has in the past, he struggled to explain conflicting testimony about key events that he's given over the years. This time about the murders of Brian Halloran and Michael Donahue, which Bulger is accused of participating in. What's more, and I think even more important, today defense attorney Hank Brennan suggested that in exchange for his testimony in this trial, Flemmi, who's currently serving a life sentence, hopes to go free. Flemmi, for his part, didn't exactly deny that. As he put it, I don't know what the future holds. Everyone hopes for something beneficial in the future. Now, if the idea of Flemmi walking free seems far-fetched, remember that John Martirano and Kevin Weeks, two other former Bulger associates who've testified for the government in this case, are free men to date. Now, whether the jury will think that that scenario fatally undermines Flemmi's credibility is an open question. Back to you, Emily.
All right. Thanks, Adam. As the prosecution's case comes to a close, a reminder that you can get live courtroom updates on our website, WGBHnews.org. Turning now to the Rolling Stone magazine cover that sparked so much furor. The issue is now on sale, and although you'd be hard-pressed to find a copy in Boston, Rolling Stone says they've seen a 20% uptick in sales. As you'll recall, it was this cover photo that prompted a state police sergeant to release his own pictures of Jahar Tsarnaev.
These are images the public was not supposed to see. A bloody Jahar Tsarnaev on the night he was captured in Watertown. The pictures were leaked to Boston Magazine by State Trooper Sean Murphy, who was angry that Rolling Stone put this flattering image of the marathon bombing suspect on its cover. While Murphy's move has earned public approval, he faces an investigation for violating department policy. At a disciplinary hearing earlier this week, Murphy's attorney said his intent was pure.
Sergeant Murphy would never do anything to damage the prosecution of this terrorist.
Describing Murphy as a distinguished 25-year veteran, Superintendent Timothy Albin says his job is probably safe.
I don't see Sergeant Murphy being terminated for this particular set of circumstances, no.
Murphy is now restricted to desk duty pending the outcome of the investigation.
And with me now is Sean Murphy's attorney, Leonard Keston. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So we understand from Boston Magazine that there are more photos that are coming out in September. Do you know the nature of those?
I don't. That's actually the first I've heard of it, that there's more.
There are more. In terms of what Sean Murphy has said to you, is he contrite at all? Is he sort of standing by what he did?
Sean Murphy did this to ease the pain of these people. He's seen a lot of horror in his career, and he's especially in this situation. He's became close to the Collier family. He's had to sit there with widows. He was the only photographer at Sean Collier's funeral, and he felt their pain. So, I mean, the short answer is no. I mean, the reaction, the gratitude expressed by these victims, that's why he did it. These pictures could have been worth a lot of money had he tried to do that, and he didn't, and he didn't hide. He put his name out there, and the reaction from the victims is what he was that's why he did it, and they're so grateful.
Was he really that offended himself by the cover of Rolling Stone?
I think he felt their pain. You know, in talking to him, I think that's what it was, because, I mean, he didn't suffer. You know, he was there, but it wasn't him. But he felt what they felt, and he felt he had to act.
Is he concerned at all, as some have said, that he could be interfering with the prosecution by releasing these photos prematurely?
No. I have those photos will do nothing for the prosecution. I mean, this man was captured live on TV. What you're concerned about when you do about pretrial publicity is if there's some doubt, but the subsequent arrest of this young man has really nothing to do with the prosecution. They have to prove that he set off the bombs. And in this particular case, given that his face has been everywhere, and there was a shot Shortly after the bombing, there was a shot of him being arrested that was taken by another law enforcement person that was out. It was leaked by somebody. So this doesn't add. The short answer is no. He'd never do anything that would interfere with the prosecution of this terrorist.
Well, what is the policy? Sean Murphy was at the scene on official business. He's a state police sergeant, so he was there. He happens to be a photographer, or official photographer, but he's a cop. So what is the policy? It's technically not his property, yet he had it in his camera somewhere, some kind of a digital camera. So what is the official policy?
Well, the official policy, especially in this case, has been indicted. So this case is beyond the investigation stage.
I'm sorry. I mean, what's the official policy about ownership of those photographs?
Well, they belong to the state police. And to the extent, I mean, I don't know whether they've been given to the U.S. attorney. I don't know what's happened internally. I don't know where that goes. But they're state police photographs. They're not his personal photographs. That's a fact.
You got a call from the state police to represent Sean.
Yes.
Do you have a relationship with them?
With the union. I work with Dana Pullman as the president of the union. And part of my job is when if troopers get in trouble, they call me.
Is Sean Murphy worried or scared at all?
You know, he's a man at peace. I found him to be very interesting. I mean, he knew that there could be drastic consequences. But he's a man at peace. He felt that he had to do it, a man of conscience, as the colonel said. And, you know, we had faith in the colonel that people would recognize that in the end, that this was an extraordinary circumstance with people suffering because of this. And while the rules were broken, they could understand his feelings. Did
you get to attend the official hearing this week where
yes.
Sean, and what kinds of things was he asked?
He wasn't. It's a preliminary hearing. This has been, it's called a duty status hearing, where the only purpose is for the state police to determine what your status is going to be while they investigate. So it's not an evidentiary hearing. So he actually didn't speak. I spoke for a few minutes, and they returned and said that they would put him in restricted duty, which is the goal. You don't want the goal for the investigative trooper or sergeant is that they don't get put on unpaid administrative leave. They continue to get their benefits and a paycheck, and they were fine with that. So it's a very preliminary hearing.
What's to investigate? I mean, quite honestly, what are they? He's admitted he did it. He had the photographs. He took the photographs. He had them. He released them. What are they investigating?
You'll have to ask them. You know, I'm in this line of work, and yes, I've asked myself that question in other situations, but things have to run their course, and it's up to the state police. It's up to their unit that investigates these things to decide how long it takes or what they're doing.
What was Sean Murphy's relationship with Boston Magazine? Why did he release it to them as opposed to the Boston Globe or the Boston Herald?
I don't think there was any pre-existing relationship. I don't know if he happened to know somebody there, but there was no relationship. And why he chose them, I don't know. I've not. Plus, if I didn't, I wouldn't tell you.
Oh, we thought maybe it was because they had done that very classy cover with the sneakers in the shape of a heart.
Perhaps, but I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. If I knew and couldn't tell you, I'd tell you that. But right now I don't know because that has not been the concern.
What do you think is a fair outcome? Should he get his job back as a photographer?
I certainly hope so, that they will recognize he's going to have some punishment. I understand how they feel, and I understand the colonel's statements. I empathize with the statements that you can't have police officers, individual police officers, making policy decisions like this, especially in any case, actually, but especially this is a potential death penalty case. So I get that. But, you know, as I say, we have faith, and so far it's been rewarded. You know, I mean, there was a lot of concern that something drastic would happen to him, but so far, I mean, it's running its course, and I do think that the feelings of the victims, which are being clearly expressed without prompting, we're not going out to them. He's not going out to them. He did not reach out to anybody. That photo that was taken of him and the victim in Maine was a total accident. He happened to be in Maine, and they called him. So none of this is PR work. It's not our PR trying to get this. It's just happening. You know, getting calls from parents of victims or victims themselves with gratitude.
Has he ever done anything other than photography of the state police to see? So he could technically be assigned somewhere else, not necessarily to photography.
He was a trooper, and he was a trooper. He was in the cruiser. He's done everything, but he's been a photographer for the last 15 years or so.
Well, maybe he'll give us a break on the next ticket if he gets reassigned.
Well, I think that's the goal, or take a nice picture of you.
There you go. All right. Leonard Keston, thank you so much for coming.
Delighted to be here.